Hello, this is from the Facilitators program for Code with Altino for principals and head teachers. This module is called Inspiring a STEM and Digital Technology Culture in Your School. So the learning outcomes for this module: to understand that assigning different roles to people in your school can help to inspire a STEM and digital culture. To understand the roles of the Altino Change Champion, the lead Altino facilitator, Altino facilitators, who are basically the teachers, the Altino resource leader, and the student digital leaders. To reference the glossary of terms as required to build digital language in your school, and to understand the purpose of the Code with Altino model. So how do you inspire a STEM and digital culture? So the important part of this is assigning roles. So at a macro level, the most important role is an Altino Change Champion. This person, typically the principal, or it may not be, needs to define the new culture. To assign Altino roles as defined in this module, and to lead the culture change within the school and identify creative ways to reinforce the new culture message among teachers and students. For example, after completion of Scratch, issue a I Can Code badge to students. Set up processes for facilitators to exchange feedback, project ideas, and monitor student progress. To be familiar with the glossary of terms to build digital technology language throughout the school, and encourage others to use those terms. So we'll have a quick look at those glossary, but we've actually got a separate video tutorial on the glossary of terms. So homework for the Change Champion: define the new culture for the school. You may wish to involve others. So, for example, the culture statement may be as simple as be future job ready. Moving on to the next roles. So at a micro level, it is a good idea to assign a lead Altino facilitator. This person acts as the lead and mentor for Altino facilitators by tailoring and delivering the Altino facilitators program for new facilitators, or engaging us, Scion Australia, to do so. So that means they need to go through this facilitators program. So for example, they either deliver it or they can say and basically ensure that they access this video tutorial. And then to evaluate the facilitators program after each delivery, to assess the progress of facilitators, to further guide and mentor as necessary. It's probably a good idea that this person is confident with technology. Next being the Altino resource leader, and we do actually have a module specifically on resources. So the resource leader should definitely look at this module. So what is their role? Is to manage the Code with Altino curriculum resource library in a digital format for the teachers, students, and the school. Ensure teachers and students have a secure facility to store Altino robots and hardware, and have recharge facilities for classes, and to report any technical issues with robots to Scion Australia. Now, through the Code with Altino website, everybody has access to all the resources and to all the curricula. However, they might just need a little bit of help in doing so, or the teachers may dynamically change the modules. And if they're going through that process and that learning and that adding to the intellectual property, it's a great idea to keep that intellectual property within the school and save those changes and communicate those changes to other leaders. So it's all about managing the resources. Next, the most important people in the Code with Altino delivery is the Altino facilitator. Basically, that's your students. The teachers, to lead students to be able to code and be inspired by STEM and digital technologies by delivering and perhaps customising the Code with Altino curriculum. Your teachers are your most important people, obviously. And then, of course, we have the Altino digital leader, Typically they are students, or it could be a specialist technology teacher. They assist teachers and students with the technology components of the curriculum, and we have a separate module that talks through that. So here is the glossary. It is quite important for the change leader to know what each of these terms are. We do have a separate video tutorial on this, so I won't go through it now. And then we come to the evaluation model. A wise person once said, "What doesn't get measured doesn't get done." The Code with Altino evaluation model is simply a rating of learning outcomes at the completion of every project. So every module starts with learning outcomes, and then people self-evaluate. So you use a following rating scale of 1 to 5 and add up students' ratings, where 1 is strongly disagree, 2 is disagree, 3 is in the middle, 4 is agree, 5 is strongly agree. So let's say if you have an average rating above 4, that's great. That shows to me and to you that that student's ready to move on to the next stage. If they're less than 4, they're not really agreeing that they have successfully acquired that learning outcome, and that's where development is required. You can use these average ratings at both student and class levels to help identify where most development is needed. So for example, if the evaluation process is about evaluating learning outcomes, let's look at the learning outcomes again for the facilitators program. I won't go into these again, we described these in the introduction section, but there they are. And then at the end of every module, or at the end of this facilitators program, here are the learning outcomes. So in theory, every teacher gone through this video tutorial, who have gone through this facilitators program, should look at these learning outcomes and say, number 1, do I understand the importance of computer coding and how to teach it? Do they rate 4 and above? If not, they should redo the video tutorial or to identify where development is needed. Secondly, get to know Altino the robot car, and etc. And this is how every module works. So if you're willing to put in the resources and time for the evaluation, it's very powerful to identify where development is needed. And then at the end of it, you can give an average rating. In this case, it says out of 8, but it's actually out of 9, as you can see. And then see if your ratings are above 4 or not for your class. So us Scion Australia, did you know, fascinating fact, we're currently developing a coding and robotics competency profile. We believe this is the ultimate way to evaluate the effectiveness of the Code with Altino curriculum. Its purpose is for teachers to observe students during projects and assess their future work skills using a checklist. The students can show their profiles to parents or future employees to explain their digital technology skills. So at the time of writing this video tutorial, this wasn't available. If you are interested in this, please let us know. It is on our list of priorities to get developed, but obviously the more, requests we have from schools, the more likely it is we will add this to our priority list of projects. And I hope that you can understand simply by a student, for instance, in Year 9 or Year 10, once they leave school, then showing that to their prospective employers to show, yes, I can program a sensor in a robot, and because they've gone through the program, they can actually explain to the employer how they went through that. So that's the end of this module. Thank you very much.